Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm here with the next update for my Panda palette. I am currently panning kind of 3 palettes of things. I originally started with 2, but I have a Franken palette as well, so I do have 3 palettes to talk about today. The first one is my Panda palette from last year that I'm trying to finish up. I don't have too much left of it, but it's still hanging around. I do also have my main palette for this year, which is the Nick Tutorials and Beauty Bay palette. I'm trying to pan this one. And then since that one has so many bright colors, last about a month and a half now, I did Franken some of that into like a more kind of neutral color story as well. I used to have as a companion palette to the big one. So those are the 3 things I'm going to talk about today. Before I jump into any of the palettes, if you're new here, please consider subscribing. I would love to have you in the family. Let's jump into the video. So let's start with the palette that I mentioned first, which is my Panda palette from last year, which is the Modern Renaissance. At the beginning of the year, I had 3 shadows left in here that I'm trying to finish up, and this is what it looked like last month. So I had already finished up Red Ochre, and my main goal for the last month was to finish Cypress Umber. But yeah, that is what I was last month, and this right here is where I am today. So you can see the comparisons up here, but let's talk through each shade in order. So the first shadow in the palette is Love Letter, which is this kind of pinky fuchsia kind of maroon kind of shadow. It's quite stunning, but I have been quite burnt out on those shadows because of this palette. However, I'm starting to fall a bit more in love with it again, so hopefully I can start reaching for it a bit more. But in the past month I reached for this one 5 times. I'm actually wearing this one at the very outer corner of my look today, and I'm pairing it with some oranges for more of a sunset look, and then this kind of multi-chrome on my lid, which goes from a pink to an orange to a gold, which is stunning. I don't know if you can pick it up on camera, but it's absolutely stunning. I love this eyeshadow so much. But I'm wearing this one today. So this is the 5th time I'm using it this month, so not too many uses, but I have been using it. It is getting lower, but there's still quite a bit of product left in here. So I do think I have at least 2 more months with this product, but I think that's going to be my goal. I mean, ideally I would have, my main goal is to have this palette done by the first quarter in the year, which is not going to happen obviously. I mean, with pasta, so it didn't happen. But my second goal was to use this up by the halfway point of the year, which would be in a month's time. And I'm not sure if I can do that. If I use this like every single day, maybe. But I doubt that. But I'm going to try to use it as much as I can, and this is going to be one of my main focuses in the next month, because I do really want to finish this palette up completely. But yeah, that is Love Letter. And as you can probably see, I mean, I've been talking about this like I usually have 1 shadow left, and that is because I do. I did actually finish Cypress Umber this past month, and you can see how much I had left last month in the pictures. And it took me 8 additional uses for a total of 127 uses to finish that eyeshadow, and I'm very happy to have it done. It was an easy eyeshadow to incorporate into different looks because it is just a deep brown. I would say it leans, although it is in like a pinkier toned, like with a little warm tone as well palette, it did lean a bit more cool tone, but it did work in both kind of looks because it was just a deep brown. But the problem with that is that it also, you didn't need a lot of it every time you used it, so it did take quite a while to finish, but I'm happy to have it gone now. So that means that, like I said, I only have 1 shadow left, and it is the shadow that I predicted I would have left at the end, because this one is very close to Venetian Red, so I almost have 2 shadows of this type to finish in this palette. So yeah, I've definitely expected to have this one last standing, but yeah, we'll see how I go and how far I can get with this one in the next month. But that is where I am with my Modern Renaissance. Then let's talk about my big Panda palette this year. I am still a little bit overwhelmed by this palette, if I'm being honest. This is probably my poorest chosen Panda palette in my history of Panda palette, because I'm not getting as much use of it as I thought I would or as I wanted. But it is a larger palette, so I do focus on a couple of shadows at a time, which means I do actually get a lot of uses on a couple of shadows in here every month, but some of them I don't touch at all. But let me show you where I was last month. You can see it up here, and let me show you where I am today. So this right here is where I am with my palette today. So let me talk you through it. I'm going to just have the pictures open because it's such a chunky palette to hold up, so I'm going to have the comparisons picture for you to look at instead. So the first shadow in the palette is this kind of bright orange shadow. This one I have actually not used at all in the past month, so 0 uses. Next to that we have the shadow Blend and Snap, which is a pink, and this one I have used once, so not too much, but I did use it once. Ivy, which is the kind of in the corner shadow in the middle of the top row. I only used this one twice, which is definitely the lowest I've used it. It was a very consistent eyeshadow that I used very often, but I just had other things to pat in my inner corner. Like today I'm wearing a different shadow, so yeah, I haven't been using this one as much as I want, but I need to step up the usage game because this is one that I think you can get out in a couple of months if I used to use it consistently. So that is Ivy. Then we have Slasher, which is one that I haven't used at all. I only used this one 6 times in the whole project, and I think that's because it does have that kind of I mean, it is more purple, but it does give a similar effect to Love Letter and the rest of Modern Renaissance that I had left to pan, so I just haven't been using that one that much. Then lastly on the top row, we actually have a shadow that I have been using quite a bit, and that is 5 AM. I did use this one 15 times, which is a very high amount, and I'm not sure if you can see much of a difference in the pan itself. I think because I did Franken a bit of this one, I think you can see like the scrape marks have evened out a little bit, but it's not too much of a difference, and that is because I've been using this one as a bronzer in combination with the other shadow I'm going to show you later. I'm actually wearing that today as well, so you can see what it looks like, and it does work quite nicely, but you have to be very gentle with it and not pick up too much. I am actually considering making a Franken bronzer out of a couple shadows in here, so I might do that in next month just to get some more use out of this palette. So we'll see how I do, but that is something that I'm definitely considering. So yeah, that is 5 AM at least. Moving on to the second row, we have 3 shadows that I haven't used, and that is Roxy Catan, Vla and Mickey. I haven't reached for any of those. However, Mila is the second eyeshadow in here that I've been using as a bronzer. So I've been mixing this one with 5 AM, mainly using Mila, but a little bit of 5 AM to get my bronzer tone, and that again is what I'm wearing today. So this one I have used 16 times, so again 15 times as a bronzer and then once as an eyeshadow, so 16 uses, which is pretty good, but again I don't know how much of a difference you can see. I do think the difference should be a little bit more in this one though compared to 5 AM, but I do have 60 uses, and obviously as you get the bronzer you wear it down more evenly, so hopefully I am still getting a decent amount of usage out of this one, even though I'm not using it, you know, to hit pan, or like you can't really see a distinct dip or anything. Next up we have Underground, which is the last on the second row. Again, I haven't used this one. I know it's very disappointing because there's a lot of eyeshadows in here I haven't used. Actually, same with the next row. I haven't used any of the eyeshadows on the next row, which is very disappointing. Again, I used to be very overwhelmed with this palette, and I'm seriously considering picking something else to pan at the halfway point. I'm a very stubborn person. I'm very stubborn, I'm very determined, and I think the stubbornness in me just tells me to keep going with this palette. But let me know what you think. Do you think it's worth it for me to pick a different palette at halfway point or not? I do want to get as much use out of this palette as I can, and I do think I could finish up a couple shadows in here before the end of the year if I keep going. And you know, I think working on the palette, like I have been like picking a couple of focus shadows, have been working for me, but I'm just neglecting so much of the palette each month, and I don't know, the time just flies away from me. I always say I'm going to use this palette more this month, but then we get to the end of the month and I haven't used it as much as I want, and I think that's because I'm also panning so many different eyeshadows that I'm just very overwhelmed, especially with this palette because it has so many shadows and so many colorful shadows. But anyway, the second to last row I haven't used any of the eyeshadows, which again is I'm a little bit disappointed with. However, the last row is probably my most successful row, and that is because I had both my focus shadows on this row. The first of my focus shadows is Pride, which is that kind of pink in the corner. I did use this one 15 times, so I did hit my goal. I wanted to reach for this one ideally 15 times, but minimum 10 times, which is really good. And I do think you can hopefully see quite a bit of pan expansion in this shadow, and I do love this eyeshadow. It's really stunning. But yeah, so hopefully I can keep using this one. It's actually one that I have been using every single month, more or less, since I started this project, so hopefully I can keep doing that. I did actually use this one as a nail polish a few times, and that's definitely helped. I'm wearing both my focus shadows on my nails today, so you can see, but the pink that I'm wearing is that eyeshadow, and it has blended in a little bit with the blue, but you can see the pink right there. Then we have the shadow Sommer, which is one that I have used once, so not too much, but I did use it. Then we have Mama Tutorials, which is my second focus shadow, which is that blue. And this one I do think you should see a really big pan expansion in. I'm actually getting closer to finishing this one. I mean, I still have a bit to go, but I'm getting closer. And again, I'm wearing this one on my nails today. That's the color on my tips right there. So I did like more of an ombre look today to use, or like, I mean, I've had this on for over a week now. It's lasted pretty well. But yeah, those are the two eyeshadows, and I'm wearing them again on my nails. I'm also wearing this Tutorials a little bit on my eyes, like right here today. Not that much, but I just wanted my 15th use on it because that's what I've done. I used it 15 times, which is really good, and again that was my main goal. So I did want to just have one last little use today to use it right there. So that is my Tutorials, and I'm very happy with this one. I think again, if I keep using all my nails, I should have this one done in a couple of months. Then the last eyeshadow that I actually reached for is the shade Amsterdam, which is the bluish purple in the bottom row. I did use this one once, again not too much, but I did use it. And then Mr. Tutorials I did not use, but I am pretty happy with the last row. However, again, I'm not doing too well with this palette, considering though I did have quite a few Frankens of this palette now. I did Franken mainly blend and snap. I'm going to try to, I mean you can look at the picture actually instead. I did Franken blend and snap, I did Franken 5am, Vla, Mila, Plot Twist, Basic Truth, and and Amsterdam as well. So I've Franken a lot of the shadows in here, and I did use all of my Frankens this month, so obviously that contributes to use on all of those, which is pretty good. But it's just a slow moving palette. I think if I didn't focus in on some of the eyeshadows, I could easily finish Plot Twist, Vla, and Blend and Snap, I think, because those are very low in the pan. And then obviously my Tutorials as well, I should be able to finish. But I do think those I could finish if I just focus on them. Obviously as well, I think I could finish Basic Truth as well, because it's a very easy blending out shadow. Same with Ivy and Mila. I think I could finish those as well, especially if I use Mila as a bronzer. So that's kind of where I'm standing with like the palette. On top of that, I do think I could also finish at least All In and Pride, which are my two favorite shimmers in the palette. But yeah, let me know what you think of this palette. Do you think it's worth it for me to keep going with this one or not? I mean, it's not like I'm hating pan in this palette. I don't hate it at all. I'm just a little bit disappointed each month because I like having a bit more usage on a palette than I am having with this one. But I'm still enjoying it. I'm still having fun with the colors in here, but I'm just not getting as much use as I want out of it. So let me know your thoughts down below. Then for the last palette, like I mentioned, we have my Franken palette, which is housed in here. This is a palette I've Frankened 8 shadows out of my Panda palette. All of the shadows in here comes from my 2023 Panda palette, the Beauty Bay palette, and I am very excited to show you the progress. I had a mini goal to use every shadow in here 5 times in the past month, so I'll also let you know how I did with that. But this right here is where it was last month. You can see I did have, I think, 2 pans in this palette. I had one in the second and third shadow, but yeah, that is where I was, and this right here is where I am today. So again, you will have the comparison picture up there just to easily see the progress, but let me talk through each shadow. So the first shadow in the palette is more of a kind of neutral transition shadow. It still leans a little bit warm tone, but it's more neutral. And that one I have used 5 times. And that first one is Mila and Plot Twist Franken together. The second one is more of a warm tone transition, and that is Mila and Basic Truth Franken together, and I have used that one 5 times, which is also very good as kind of hitting my goal. And I do think I have a little bit of pan expansion. I have kind of like a double pan there. This one on the side was kind of when I Frankened it, but I have expanded that one a little bit too. But yeah, I do think I should be able to finish that one relatively easily because it is very, very thin in the pan. But that is the next one. My most used shadow in the whole Franken is the next one, which is the mix between 5am and Plot Twist. And this one here I have used 18 times in the past month, and that is because I'm using this as my brow powder. I haven't used it every single day, but I've used it again. I mean, you can tell a majority of the days, and I'm actually wearing that one again today so you can see what it looks like. It does work really well in my brows, and I'm thinking I'm going to continue using it that way. And who knows, maybe I can have this one done next month, or if not next month, at least in 2 months time, and I'm very, very excited about that one. So that was 5am and Plot Twist. Moving on to the second row, we have Mila and Vla, which is the yellow shadow. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to hit my 5 usage goal on this one. I only used it 4 times, which means I'm 1 use shy. However, I'm filming this on the 30th, so I have 1 more day to go. So I could technically hit my goal on this one if I wanted. So I think I'm definitely going to use that one tomorrow just to get my last use out of it. So that is Mila and Vla. The middle one on the second row, which is like kind of bright green, is a mix between and Vla. and I have again used that one 4 times, so that is again very close. I can probably use that one tomorrow again, so I'm going to hit my 5 usage goal on the month, which is really good. And then lastly we have U and Mila, which is again used 4 times. I usually use these 3 together. I mean, I think there's been times when I use this one separately and then I only use these 2, but I mainly do use those 3 together. So yeah, that is U and Mila, and again 4 users on that one. Then for the second row we have these 2 shadows right here, and I have used these 2 3 times each, so again I'm very much shy of the usage goal. I don't think I'm gonna hit, obviously I only have 1 day left, so unless I do my makeup twice tomorrow and use all of these, I won't be able to hit my goal, which is fine. But yeah, I'm gonna focus on hitting goal on these 3, so I hit my goal on the top 6 at least, and then these 2 I'm not too worried about. But yeah, the first one here is Amsterdam and Blend and Snap, and then the second one is Blend and Snap and Plot Twist, and again I have used those 3 times each. But that is where I am with my Franken palette. I'm definitely getting a lot of use out of this one, which is very exciting. I think next month my goal with this one is going to be continuing to use this one here, and maybe finishing it up. We'll see how it goes. And then I do want to hit at least 1 more pan in here, hopefully 2. I think I should be able to do that, but that is my main goal for this palette. And let me talk you through the goals for the rest. So like I said, with my Modern Renaissance, my goal is just to use Love Letter as much as I can. Try to get, I don't think I can finish it, but I'll try to get it as close to finish as I can. So that is the first goal. Then for the second palette, which is my main Panda palette this year, I do, like I said, have 2 focus palettes each month, and I have picked 2 new ones, which comes from this side of the palette, which is actually these 2 right here. So I have picked Summer and Aura. So those 2 right here are going to be my focus, and I don't have pan on either of those, so hopefully I can put pan on at least one of them, if not 2. And with my focus eyeshadows, I always want to use them minimum 10, ideally 15 times, so that is those 2. Additionally, I just want to get more use of this palette as a whole. There is a lot of beautiful shadows in here, and honestly I do think I should do the Franken bronzer in here, because I have been using those as a bronzer anyway, and I have to be quite cautious with them because they are very pigmented. So my goal when it comes to Frankening is using those 2. Let me show you like this. So I want to use these 2, this one 5 AM and Mila. I want to Franken those 2 with a little bit of Basic Truth, which is the shadow right here, the neutral shadow right there. So I think I should do that. Should I use the rest of Mila? Maybe I should. I mean, I could use it as an eyeshadow, but also at the same time, I mean, my goal is to use this palette up, so if that means that I finish that eyeshadow, I mean, that's not the end of the world, is it? The only thing is I can use that to Franken more kind of neutral transitions, but I have a lot of them now because of the Franks that I already made. Yeah, we'll see what I do. Let me know if you want me to film that. It will be a very quick Franken, because I probably will only Franken that eyeshadow, or sorry, that bronzer rather. But yeah, let me know. So that is kind of my main goal with this one. It's just to get more use out of every shade in here, not just like focusing on a couple. I want to have more uses on the palette overall, even if that's just a couple uses. I do want to have more of those, and then also using my focus shadows at least 10 times, and then make that bronzer. Those are my goals with this palette, and that is going to be my video for today. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up. As always, please let me know down below how you're doing with your Panda palette, and otherwise I hope you're having a lovely day wherever you are, and I will catch you in my next one. Bye guys!